back in the mid-'90s, CU started playing CSU in football once again. We called it the Rocky Mountain Showdown. We still call it that. But 2020 is going to be the last year of that showdown, at least for the time being. 26 years straight through 2020, and then 2021, there will be no game between CU and CSU in football. It was CU's choice, and writing about it for the Denver Post today is Tom Kensler of the Denver Post. Tom comes to us on Skype. Tom, we had a feeling this was coming, and why don't you, if you don't mind, explain to everybody why this is happening right now?
Well, from CU's viewpoint, they only have 3 non-conference games a season. Now that they're in the Pac-12 and there's 9 conference games, they do not want to get locked in to a series. Utah State just dropped their series with Utah. Utah dropped their series with Utah State for the same reason. For instance, there's some years where Colorado's only going to have 4 conference home games. They need 6 just to balance the budget, never mind to make any money. And that would lock them into having to find 2 home and homes that are both in Boulder at the same time. So you get my gist. It just complicates matters if you're locked in and you only have 3 non-conference games. It was fine when they were in the Big 12 and had 4, but that's their theory, and also Utah with Utah State.
I have a big, Tom, I said earlier that I'm not really caring about 2021 because I certainly am not going to buy a 30-year mortgage. I'm never going to finish the end of that, and I'm not going to buy green bananas at Safeway. So that it doesn't affect me whatsoever. But that is the issue because the power conferences continue to eat their young. That's about all I can say is that because of the power conferences, they've got so many teams you've got to play in your own conference because the conferences get bigger and bigger and you got to play the other 7 or 8 teams and you want a couple of cupcakes on, and we know that CU can't consider CSU a cupcake. You got to have a couple of cupcakes. You got to invite Hawaii to come because they'll come over and play. You got to get a North Dakota State. It's just the reality is it's very difficult to play for Colorado to play Colorado State.
Yeah, especially every year. I think that it's going to continue, but not probably on an annual basis. As Les said, the annual series, I think, will end. Well, it will officially end with 1 year, and I don't think it'll be resumed as an annual. But the other thing, Woody and guys, is that it's the Baylor TCU factor. They got left out of the initial college football playoffs, largely because of their soft non-conference schedule. So I was talking to Dave Plowdy, the sports information director at Colorado. He is very involved. In fact, he's directly involved with scheduling for football. And he said there's a mad rush right now going on. Everybody's trying to beef up their schedules. So I agree with you, Woody. I think that, if you're not in the power league right now, you're kind of struggling.
So on the flip side, Tom, when you look at a team like Colorado State, are they not going to be wanted as much by teams in the Pac-12 and conferences like that going forward in the next couple decades?
Well, I wouldn't say that because I think they're going to always be one of the better Mountain West teams. They at least have one of the better programs. If Mike Bobo can continue the momentum started by Jim McElwain. And if you play one of the better teams, everybody's going to play, like Woody said, everybody's going to play 1 or 2. You want to play the better ones, it'll help your strength of schedule. So I wouldn't say that, Ben, but if I'm looking down at Colorado's future schedules and the ones they have filled in, they have a couple of years where they play 2 power conference teams. That only leaves 1, and hence they don't want to be locked into a series. I wish they played every year. I think it was great for the state. I'm just telling you, Colorado's,
that's what
they're coming from. Yeah,
that's why I said realistically, you could understand why. In a perfect world, I would love to have this game still in Denver every year, but I would love to see it sold 75,000 every year. And the problem, which I can now give up on, is the Denver Sports Commission just totally screwed the pooch on that, as an astronaut said. You had a bunch of businessmen in blazers that didn't know what the hell they were doing. They didn't figure it out. the teams really didn't make the money they should have. They had to pay money to come to Denver to play. It didn't turn out to be what I'd always envisioned, what I tried to push for, which I pushed for years and years. And so it's really time for it to go away. But we should add, you're looking at future schedules. A game that I like that's on one of the future schedules is Nebraska.
Yeah, I figured you'd bring that one up. Yeah, I think that's going to be great. I think it's great for the fans. I think it's, it's historic. It's about time that they started playing again. So that's great. And you're starting to see that a little bit with these conferences. Although I don't know, Texas A&M and Texas haven't really hooked up back. But no, that'll be great. Playing a home and home, and hope that continues into the future.
Hey, Tom, last thing. I want to turn this to CSU being left out in the cold as far as CU is concerned, at least. Something like this, does CSU get really concerned about this? And does this give them incentive to eventually find their way into a power conference?
Well, I think that's been their goal, Les. But, and they may play in 2022, 3, and 24. Those aren't filled in yet, although there's no guarantees. I was asking Rick George, are they a candidate? And he said, yes, they're a candidate, but he didn't jump in and say, oh, yeah, we're going to fill those in with Colorado State. But, yeah, that might give them a little bit more of an incentive. I don't know how realistic that is. It all seems to have calmed down a little bit, all this conference shuffling. But I think that's always a goal for them. The thing is, you've got to beef up your other sports also. It's not just about football.
I think now we could get on the bandwagon for CSU should play CSU Pueblo.
Oh.
Because Pueblo has become a very good team, and you could play that game. Pueblo would go up there and play in their stadium and in their new stadium, or they could play University of Northern Colorado. I mean, they wanted so many years to play Colorado.
Sure.
Well, now it's your turn.
Yeah.
You go and help some of these smaller schools. My other question to you, if you want to comment on that, Tom, is my final question is that a golf course behind you? I assume we're in your den there or your office at home. What golf course is that behind you?
That's the old media bib from Ryder Cup in Detroit. I believe you were with me.
Oh, that's good. Show us the rest of your house while we're here. And tell people how to get in touch with you and how people can get to your house.
I thought it was a little better backdrop than the other time.
Yeah, you did better than it looked like you were in a bathroom the last time you talked to us.
Tom, what's your Twitter handle?
Tom Kensler.
That's easy. Should we put an at in front of it?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay. At Tom Kensler. Tom, hey, thanks for your time,
Tom.
man.